The landmark of the farm, Stanford University, as the Washington Huskies come onto the stadium turf.
We knew how good they were. They weren't ranked number one, for no reason.
The lure over the middle. It is touchdown.
It was expected that you were going to win a championship.
Deep drop this time by Elway. He's going to the corner, and it is touchdown.
John could create. John could make a play, moving to his left or his right.
We came out of the game just marveling at his talent.
As long as John Elway is on the field throwing, it's a very dangerous team.
It was a rainy October day in 1982 when the undefeated and top-ranked Washington Huskies arrived in Palo Alto to take on a 4-3 Stanford squad led by quarterback John Elway.
Sky behind the Hoover Tower, dark and gray. It has rained through much of the night, through much of the morning.
In the early 1980s, Pac-10 football was dominated by one team, the Washington Huskies.
It's a pleasure for me to present this trophy to you. You earned it well today, and by the way you played today, we know you're going to bring it all home from the Rose Bowl.
Perhaps the loss last year was imprinted on the minds of these Washington players. They came back here with one thought in mind. Let's get through the festivities, but let's win this football game, and they've done it.
The hype around Seattle was pretty strong. Now we were the veterans of the Rose Bowl, and we weren't doing the Disneyland and all the other things and taking it as just a fun thing, and we took the game a lot more serious.
The Huskies were two-time defending Pac-10 champions, and fresh off 2 Rose Bowl appearances, including a dominant 28-0 victory over Iowa in 1981.
Huskies are at the Iowa 3. Cowan fakes, keeps it himself, and he goes in for a touchdown. Don James can afford to smile now. Oh my, it's been quite an afternoon for the Huskies.
It was a carryover team, hoping that we would enjoy the successes that preceded us. It was a team that had enough strength to it so you could be optimistic about it.
Washington was led by future Hall of Fame coach Don James.
Coach Don James of the University of Washington once again will rely on a rugged and disciplined defense to carry the Huskies to more glory.
Following a successful career at Kent State, James took the reins at UW from head coach Jim Owens. And while Owens was the ultimate player's coach, James had a very different approach.
Jim Owens was an extremely social person. Don James is almost an accountant by personality. How much did I learn from him? Just tons of how to be detailed in the way I do things. Jim Owens had his arm around you down on the field. Don James was up in his tower taking notes.
What Coach James was so good at that I saw was he really was able to read the mood of the team. And he could tell if the team was up, maybe too far up, and needed to be calmed down a bit. And he can tell when we were lax and needed a kick in the butt.
Don James' motivation was always the same at the start of a season. Let's go win the conference championship. Let's go play in the Rose Bowl and see what happens after that. So that goal was there, and that's what he coached to. We have established a culture here, if you will. We have established a tradition of excellence. Let's live up to that, and if we do, good things are going to happen.
He wasn't a real coachable guy. He wasn't out there coaching every day, but he was watching everything, and he could know the mood, and if it needed changing, he changed it real quick.
Football practices at the University of Washington were about perfection. And no matter where players were on the practice field, they could never escape the watchful eye of their head coach.
It's the big brother theory. I mean, every time you'd be practicing, talk to everybody there, they'd always think he was looking at them. And so you'd never be able to tell where he was watching, but he was always taking notes and always paying attention. It was quite intimidating, actually.
James' 1982 Husky squad was ranked second in the country, riding a 7-0 record. On the other sideline, Paul Wiggins' Stanford Cardinal were led by star senior quarterback John Elway.
John Elway, considered by many the #1 passer in the country, will surely put lots of points on the board for Stanford this season.
We'd all heard about John. We met him when he came on campus for recruiting. And then we had summer workouts. And Turk Schonert was our quarterback coming back for his senior year. He had sat behind Steve Dales for a number of years. And so we all felt like, Turk's the guy. There's no way this hot shot freshman is going to see the field. People sit for 3 and 4 years at Stanford. We had a summer practice, and the first time I saw John take a snap and throw the ball, I turned to one of my teammates and I went, we might be wrong. He might actually get on the field. Great presence, heck of an arm, and that confident walk. He didn't carry himself like a freshman. He started to think, yeah, he might play.
When Elway's on target, Stanford's going to be a team tough to outscore.
It was fun. We're just watching him in film and some of the things he could do on film, and what he did to other plays. Frankly, you can't see other quarterbacks have that ability to do.
John was a competitor. It was fun. It was tough. You got to the point where you tried to do things and bait him a little bit, and bait him to throw a pass, thinking I got the guy covered. He can't possibly stick it in here, and he still would. But I got to the point where I figured out some tricks about John. John had a habit of, he couldn't throw the ball without patting it. He had to tap it like 2 or 3 times before he threw it. So if I was playing zone coverage in a drill with John in practice, I wouldn't move until the ball came off, his hand came off the ball, and he patted. Once he patted, then it was time to go. He thought I knew the plays or something, but I picked up a little tell for him.
Despite a 4-3 start, Stanford had gotten a boost of confidence after an inspired 23-20 win over Ohio State. At that point, the Cardinal believed they could go toe-to-toe with any team in the nation.
That Ohio State game was great. That was a tough place to play. That was an Ohio State team that was really good. They had Mike Tomczak at quarterback. Tim Spencer was a running back. And it was a hostile environment. It was an ABC game. It was a big deal. And we played great defense that day. And then we had one of those classic John Elway, finishes. He found Emil Harry for a touchdown pass just before the end of the game, so that we won that. So we had a lot of confidence. We felt like we could play with anybody.
Washington was also brimming with confidence. In reeling off 7 straight victories to start the season, the Huskies were not only winning games, they were dominating them.
Winning and winning carries over, and your players believe, irregardless of the coaching, that they can go out and win. They expect to win, and as a result, you enjoy that. You count on it as a coach. Those were teams that were easy to coach because of the talent that we had on them and the leadership that they automatically took, because it was expected that you're going to go to a bowl game. It was expected that you were going to win a championship.
Expectations were very high. I mean, obviously we got a lot of season notoriety, and we were pretty hyped up for it, and we had a real solid team. I mean, we're all fifth-year seniors. We only lost 2 starters from the previous year, and those were the 2 guys that didn't get to redshirt their freshman year. And so we were solid all the way around, all the way offense, defense, and kicking game.
The stage was set as the Stanford Cardinal looked to upset the top dog in the land, the Washington Huskies.
As the Stanford Cardinal now comes into the stadium.
It was a modern-day David and Goliath, as the underdog Stanford Cardinal, led by quarterback John Elway, took the field in hopes of slaying the top-ranked Washington Huskies.
And the corners come up now. They're really in tight. And Elway takes a long time, may have checked off. He stays for this down game. He gives it to Vincent White. White brings the ball across the 30, fumbles the football, and Washington has recovered it.
One play, and the Cardinal were already in a hole.
He is hammered, and the football comes into the hands of big Ron Holmes.
This is what coaches fear, the first play of the ball game.
The fumble by running back Vincent White gave the Huskies excellent field position for their first offensive drive. Quarterback Steve Pellure was primed to steal some glory from his well-known counterpart, John Elway.
Pellure steps under center at quarterback.
Well, Steve Pellure was really good, but he's incredibly different from John Elway. John was much more athletic. John could create. John could make a play moving to his left or his right, and could really fire the ball. Had a really quick release. I thought Pellure was a little bit more deliberate. He didn't necessarily throw the deep ball as well as John. He certainly was a solid intermediate passing quarterback. He had really capable receivers. I remember he had Paul Scansey. I believe he had Anthony Allen. Scansey was a guy who could get you yards after the catch. They used him effectively. And Pellure was really, really good at the play action. He would fake the run and get you out of position and throw the ball right over your head.
While the 1982 college football season featured future NFL Hall of Fame quarterbacks Elway and Dan Marino, it was Pellure who had his Huskies at 7-0, poised for a national title run. And what the Huskies signal caller lacked in physical attributes, he made up for in football IQ.
Steve was a very smart guy, and he wouldn't get us in a lot of trouble. And he frankly threw a different kind of ball. He threw a very catchable ball and put it in spot. And he wouldn't take a lot of chances, where Elway, I think, would take a chance knowing that his arm would get him out of some trouble.
Scansey in motion. Pellure all day to throw the ball. Now throws to the short man, and the pass is complete to Chris James out of the backfield, and the big fullback takes it down to the Stanford 16.
On the very first play, Pellure showed his touch, getting a quick first down. But in the red zone, it was Huskies star running back Jacques Robinson who delivered.
Ball goes to the tailback, Robinson. Robinson breaks it into the end zone. Touchdown.
34 yards in 5 plays, capped off by a bruising Robinson run, and the Huskies were out to an early 7-0 lead.
For this play, and Frank, he really runs hard in traffic. He is a good inside runner, north and south. Keeps his feet moving, sees the goal line and goes right in. So the Washington Huskies cash in a Stanford fumble. Washington leads 7-0 in the first quarter.
Thus far, the story was playing out just as predicted. Up 7-0, the Huskies were showing why they were the top team in the country. For the underdog Cardinal to compete, they would need their star quarterback to be at his very best.
In motion, Elway on a roll. He gets his pass off. It is intercepted. It is picked off by number 30, Chris O'Connor, a senior from Bellevue, Washington.
A regretful throw by Elway turned into a spectacular interception by Washington's Chris O'Connor, the defensive back whose pick ironically came because of a mental mistake.
Well, frankly, I blew the coverage. It was a second defensive play of the game. And what happened is there was a formation and there was a split wide, and in the defense we had, I should have checked off and been in the deep coverage, and I missed the checkoff. And so and maybe he caught up on that, because what I had to do is I had to break my bot to get to the flat. And so I was doing that, and frankly running as hard as I can, and I turn around, and like I said, he didn't put a lot of arc on the ball, and he was just trying to force it in. I turned around and I made one shot at the ball and I got it. And so, again, maybe he read the broken coverage, but it was really, I shouldn't have been there in the bottom line.
2 plays, 2 turnovers. Stanford's All-American quarterback was showing some cracks. But the Cardinal defense was undaunted, confident they could atone for the offensive mistakes.
We didn't worry about it. we were playing good defense to start. That's the first thing. The defense wasn't giving up big chunks, so the fact that we were down didn't bother us. We just had to keep doing what we were doing. And we felt like our offense was going to get it going. We felt they would score. It was just a matter of time. If they stopped turning the ball over, they would score. And we felt good about what we were doing defensively. So we weren't depressed. We started getting a little bit concerned about the fact that it was raining that day, and that was going to make the ball wet, a little slippery, and that could be an issue. But in terms of could we get back in the game by our own performance, yeah, we felt pretty good about that.
Coming up, Elway shakes off a bad start and gets back to being Elway.
He's going to the corner, and it is
A John Elway interception had put the Cardinal in a serious hole. But Stanford's defense answered the call, forcing a turnover of their own.
Now lineman, and Ballure is going to put it up on first down. He goes to the pass is intercepted. It is intercepted by Kevin Bates, an outside linebacker. And so the Huskies turn it over, and Stanford's got a chance.
A rare interception thrown by Steve Ballure, and the Cardinal offense took over in prime real estate. John Elway wasted no time, going immediately for the home run.
Deep drop this time by Elway. He's going to the corner, and it is touchdown to Steve Brown.
One throw, and Elway reminded everyone why he gave nightmares to opposing coaches across the Pac-10.
As a defensive coordinator, you shake your head and just totally appreciate his athletic ability and his ability to throw the ball. I had never heard a ball whistle the way he threw a ball. I mean, he threw that tight of a pass that you could hear the ball, and I can imagine what it was like to try to catch it.
He threw a real tight spiral, and you know, frankly, it was tough to defend, and because he got the ball there so quickly.
But like all top teams, the Washington Huskies would respond.
Ball is given in the middle. The fullback Chris James, and James just keeps on chugging, and he goes all the way to the 40 and crosses the 40 for a Husky first down. Stanford 36 and Steve Ballure back to throw it. Again, all day. Now pulls it down and runs it out of there. And runs it well all the way down to the 25. Hand off inside. Chuck Robinson runs into the official. He ran into the umpire, and it may have cost him a couple of yards, but he's still got the football down at the 10. And they'll move the chains again as the Washington Huskies continue to move it on the ground. At the 10. In the middle, Robinson. He's to the 3 before they get him. Third down, Scansey goes in motion. And Ballure gives it off to Robinson. Chuck Robinson, touchdown! Second one today. And you've got 14:55 to play in the first half.
Vaughn Williamson playing the linebacker position on the goal line defense. He has a clear shot at Robinson, number 28. Couldn't hold it, couldn't bring it down, resulting in touchdown for Washington.
Again down by 7, Elway would have to lead another march down the field.
Out of the shotgun, pressure's on Elway. He's going to run it. He's got enough room. He could get his first down. He's got it. And goes out of bounds without being hit at the Washington 36.
Keith, I don't ever remember a player having such presence of mind. Watch to the bottom of your screen. You're going to see a safety blitz. Number 48 is coming inside. Watch Elway. No one has blocked him. He just faked like he was going deep. The defensive back slipped down. Elway turns it on. You can see that he also has speed and makes the first down.
In great field position again, Elway had the Huskies' defense on their heels.
Huskies leading 14-7. Fumble. Washington's got it. The Cardinal had a chance to recover it, but the ball kept sliding around, and the Huskies finally dug under the stack and came out of there. And it's Ron Holmes, I believe, with his second fumble recovery of the day.
Despite the turnover, the Cardinal D held, setting up a field goal attempt for the most consistent kicker in college football, Chuck Nelson.
And so we're going to be looking at fourth down. Will we see Chuck Nelson, who has hit 25 consecutive field goals, and here he comes. And it's good, 27-yarder, and Chuck Nelson has hit 26 in a row. His career is 55 out of 67. Oh boy, he's a dandy. Huskies 17, Stanford 7.
Another Stanford turnover had turned into points for the Huskies. With a 17-7 lead, Don James' team looked Rose Bowl bound once again. But during the season, many Washington players began to doubt their coach's focus. James's name had become a hot commodity, and NFL teams were calling.
I can't say it was distracting, but it was definitely all over the news. It would have been a logical step for him, but I just know Coach James, and he's real goal-oriented, and he always wanted a national championship, and his best shot was with us at that time. We were ranked #1, and we had a real good team, and the schedule looked like it was setting up well.
The shot at a national championship was too tantalizing for James, and he quickly dispelled any rumors of moving to the pros.
John, of course, making the announcement this week that he would stay at the University of Washington, that he was not a candidate to replace Jack Patera as the coach of the Seattle Seahawks.
With the field and the ball slick from intermittent rain showers, Paul Wiggin and Stanford turned to the ground game and running back Mike Dotterer.
Dotterer slipped it back. It's a foot race. It's a touchdown.
Dotterer's 46-yard touchdown run had the home fans on their feet and closed the gap to 17-14. The smell of an upset was back in the misty air.
A 46-yard touchdown bolt by Mike Dotterer. As I told you a while ago, this game is not over.
Watch the safety blitz. Number 32, Park, is going to block Connor. The safety blitz is on right there. What a tremendous block that was by Park, number 32. In addition, it was a great cut by Dotterer. Seeing it, cut inside. The blitz was on. Nobody's pursued. Safety man out of the play. Touchdown. Can he get a hold of it? Right there. Wasn't blocked. Right arm is going to reach out right there and try to pull Dotterer down, but couldn't do it. That young man saw the hole and he blasted through.
Stanford, 2 big plays, 2 touchdowns. The sign says it's hard to be humble when everything's coming up roses. As I told you a while ago, this game is not over.
Thanks to Mike Dotterer's 46-yard touchdown run, Stanford was only trailing by 3 points to the top team in college football, the Washington Huskies.
You ought to be ranked in the top 20 with that schedule. Robinson in the middle, hit hard. Williams jumped below and in there on his free safety spot.
Referee's holding up a fist, meaning it's 4th down coming up. Isn't it amazing what momentum does when it gets on your side, Keith? After that touchdown by Stanford, the momentum went right to their defensive unit, and they are forcing a kick.
After a defensive stop, John Elway and the Cardinal gunned for the lead.
Elway back to throw on 2nd down and 7, goes short. Chris Dressel, the tight end, good move by Dressel, gets to the sidelines, 1st down Cardinal. To Washington, 24. Elway stands up, goes over the middle, Chris Dressel, tight end, inside the 10 to the 9. 1st and goal to go for Stanford. Ken Driscoll finally brought him down. Dotterer. Touchdown.
Another Dotterer touchdown run, and the Cardinal were in front 21-17. The top dog in college football was on alert, and Stanford's defense was energized.
1st down, Washington. They're 34. Ballure. Sideline pattern, pass incomplete, intended for Chris James out of the backfield. Coming up at halftime, leading up to their big ball game in Tempe tonight. And Ballure goes over the middle. The ball is tipped and falls incomplete, intended for Willie Roseboro. It looked like Terry Jackson, the middle guard for Stanford, slapped it down.
Well, we had some really good players, and we had a lot of experienced players. And on the back end and the secondary, we felt like we had 3 or 4 corners who could really play. That gave us depth that we didn't have before. We had Garen Veras up front, who was a fantastic player. And we just felt like if we could do enough things to let Garen be featured and do his thing, it would help us on the back end. So we felt like for the first time we had enough speed and enough depth to be really good defensively.
He's going up with it. Pressure zone, short pass to Dotterer. Dotterer getting some blocking. And Dotterer comes all the way to the 43. Picks up 20 yards on the play. 1st down, Cardinals.
Screen pass up the middle. You see this very rarely, but Washington is going to be trying to rush. Elway fakes a running play. Now he drops, holds, and just dumps the ball right over the middle to Dotterer, number 24, who scored the touchdown, and he heads downfield for a nice game.
They had well organized, didn't they? They go over the middle again to Chris Dressel, the tight end. Another 1st down at the Washington 45.
If you give John Elway time to step forward, after he sets up, he's going to complete passes, and we've seen that today.
At the 45 on first down, they pitch it back to Dotterer. Dotterer runs it over the right side and goes across the 40. Stanford's ball, second down 4 at the Washington 40. With 37 seconds to go in the first half, Dotterer trying to get outside. And he is out there long enough to get the first down. Elway back. Sets up his screen. He goes to White. White is caught from behind. Caught from behind by Mark Stewart. And then he had some room to go if he had been able to get away from Stewart. And the clock running now. Stanford's going to spend its timeout, and I would think we'll have the field goal unit. He's not a bad field goal kicker himself, and he's very good from long range.
As the first half came to a close, the Cardinal had one last chance to add to their lead.
Plenty of leg. Good. 4 seconds to play in the first half. And Stanford builds its lead to 7 points, 24-17.
Mark Harmon's 45-yard field goal gave Stanford a 24-17 halftime edge. The bid for an upset was on in Palo Alto.
It looks like you were trying to disguise some defenses, play some combinations, and got in trouble.
Well, you still have to get some pressure on Elway, and that's our problem right now.
What's the key to the second half?
Well, we're going to have to get some breaks. We'll have to get our offense going.
As the second half got underway, quarterback Steve Pallure and the Huskies took the field, looking to put upstart Stanford in its place.
Second down and 10. Pallure again to the air. Goes to the sidelines. Pass is complete to Anthony Allen. Allen up the sidelines for a first down, just short of the 40. Pallure now 4 out of 10 for 60 yards in the ball game. On first down, gives the ball to Jacques Robinson, who breaks it over the right side. And he breaks it big, all the way down to the Stanford 40. Another Washington first down. Robinson now 102 yards, 22 carries as Pallure drops. He throws it short. It's good to Roseboro, the tight end. He fumbles the football. And Stanford recovers it. Don Stubblefield saw the ball pop out of there. Washington makes another mistake. Stubblefield will take it home with him. And here's Stanford stopping the Huskies because of a Washington mistake.
The turnover bug had found its way to the Washington side of the field. And now Stanford had a chance to take a 2-touchdown lead. With the sun poking through the clouds, Elway went to work.
Working now from the 32, first down. Sun comes out bright for the first time. Little pop to Harry. Andy Mill is out of bounds at the 38. Their own 43. And Elway on a short drop has a lot of time, and when you give him that much time, he'll pick him out. He's got Gresham. Gresham on the run, down inside the 20. There's a penalty flag thrown back up around midfield.
What happened was that the defensive back tackled Harry coming out from the tight end position. And obviously, Stanford will refuse the penalty.
Leading 24-17 and threatening again. Quick pop to the sidelines to Harry. Harry is rolled out of bounds, just inside the 10. And Elway back to throw it. Goes over the middle with it. Touchdown to Emil Harry. He threw a bullet to Harry right in front of Ray Horton.
Typical. You know, we'd seen that a number of times. I recall the first time I saw a groove quite like that. We were playing Oklahoma a couple years before, and John went, hurry up, no huddle, bang, 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 right down the field. Oklahoma called a timeout. Their players stayed on the field. And their cornerback closest to us on the sideline was breathing heavily, and he was shaking his head. And we just started saying, hey, we see it every day in practice, pal. We understand your pain. It's only going to get worse. And it did.
The timing has to be perfect. This is a play that Jim Fossil told me they had to complete if they were going to be successful. Good move to the outside, turns Horton around, touchdown.
Really, the only thing as a defensive coordinator is to have balance in your ability to rush him and be successful getting pressure on him and get into coverage. We couldn't get pressure on him. And so it put that much more pressure on our secondary and on our coverage people, and as a result, he looked marvelously talented, which he is.
En route to the end zone, Elway completed 9 consecutive passes and gave Stanford a commanding 31-17 lead. Desperate to get his team back in the game, Washington's Pallure took the field, looking to start his own epic drive.
As we look at Don James, bitterly disappointed right now what's happening to his defense. His offense just hadn't had any chance. And there's a very, very unusual and surprising figure. Has not allowed a third quarter touchdown this year.
That was when they made their big comeback against Ohio State, remember?
Yes, very much so, I remember.
Third down, 9 from the 21 for the Huskies. Lord wants to throw it. He's having trouble finding somebody to throw it to, and it's intercepted. It is picked off by Kevin Baird.
A second interception by Pallure, and Stanford was smelling blood, looking to blow the game wide open.
Washington defense still jumping around. Elway back. He's got time. He throws it to Harry. Harry wiggling around, looking for a little help. Gets it down to about the 22.
Look at John Elway, complete the last 10 passes. What poise he's got. Command of the game.
Dotterer's now run for 94 yards in the ball game. First down at the Huskies 17. Hand it off to White. Vincent White, big hold to the corner inside the 5. Down at the 3. Stanford at the Washington 3. White to the corner, touchdown. Seal blocking on the right side by Stanford, and Vincent White dances it in, and they've got the 3-touchdown lead.
In the blink of an eye, Stanford's lead was now 37-17. The Huskies were in a deep hole, and time was quickly running out.
Watch it again. The beautiful blocking. Dressel making the key block, along with 32 Park. Knocks one man down completely, and White just dances in for the touchdown.
They are just flat chewing Washington apart. John Elway had a rough start for Stanford, but he has warmed to his chores. And right now his team is sitting on a 20-point cushion.
30 unanswered points by Stanford, and Washington was down 37-17. Having thrown 2 interceptions already, quarterback Steve Pallure needed to mount a touchdown drive, and he needed it badly.
Second down, call it 8, and Pallure straight back. Ferris just missed him, chases him out of there, but he's got a lot of green grass in front of him. And Steve Pallure runs it for a first down for Washington at the Stanford 41. Going to run it, Jacques Robinson. He's got a first down, and then some. He's down to the 20.
Pallure had driven the Huskies into Stanford's red zone, but the Cardinal defense forced a critical 4th and goal from the 17. Washington needed a big play to keep the game alive.
They're going for 4th and goal from the 17. Pallure over the middle. It is touchdown to Lutu.
That was a perfect throw and catch as you'll ever want to see.
Post pattern by the tight end, right to the goal post, and he drilled it.
Don't discount the Washington team. They're ranked number 1 in the nation. Last year, Keith, Pallure led them to 2 great comebacks from California 21-0 and also against Southern Cal.
As the third quarter ended, the Huskies had closed the gap to 37-24, a 2-score game with a full quarter to play.
You got 15 minutes to play in this 58th meeting between Stanford and Washington.
Stanford had the ball back with a chance to put the game out of reach. But the Huskies' defense wasn't going down without a fight.
Elway hands it on a reverse to Ken Williams. Williams sets up, wants to throw it. Now the Huskies have got it. They nail it back at midfield. Big loss on the play of 10 yards. So they go to the playbook for something gimmicky, and it doesn't work. Third down and 22. Elway being chased. Falls down at the 46, and he is furious. You don't see John exhibit frustration very often, but that time he had a lot of field in front of him. He also had a man, Harry, open deep.
Keith, I always marvel at this man's ability to know where the rush is, how to get away from it, scramble, and the loose footing. He lost his balance and went down. Otherwise, something exciting would have happened.
Harden into punt. Trip Harden will hit it from about the 35. Fourth down, gets it out of there. It's a beauty. Into the wind, runs Ray Horton back to the 12. Horton now looking for some help. Gets to the sideline. Look out! One man to beat. And he can't get by him up at the 48. It was Trip Harden, the punter, who made the tackle for Stanford.
Following Ray Horton's 30-yard punt return to midfield, the Huskies were primed to make their move. But Stanford's defense had other ideas.
Just trying to run a reverse. Harris messed it up. It is third down and about 13 as Ballure drops and goes over the middle with it. Forced the ball. Intercepted by Gary Wimmer. Stanford gets the ball back as Ballure throws an interception. The third one of the day by the Cardinal defense.
I think the reverse play really put Washington in the hole, losing yardage, allowed Stanford to back up deep and play pass. When the linebackers backed up very deep, Wimmer has good speed. Number 58, he's a good football player.
Well, I think most of it was up front. I don't believe that they handled Garen Veras at all that game. Garen was disruptive. Garen ended up playing for the New England Patriots as a defensive end, defensive tackle for a number of years, and he was a load to block. They never really got a handle on that. We certainly blitzed a little bit, caught them off guard at times. We took away their number one play, that sprint draw, which sort of made them play left-handed.
The Cardinal D had come up big once again. The Huskies were running out of time. Up next, a Washington comeback rides on one big play.
Starts back upfield. Look out!
The chance for a comeback was looking dim for the number one ranked Washington Huskies.
Third down and 3 for Stanford. Elway will throw it quickly to the sideline. Can't get to the marker. He's a yard short. So it'll be fourth down.
After stopping Stanford on third down, the Huskies would get the ball with less than 8 minutes remaining. They turned to their embattled quarterback Steve Ballure to lead them back.
37-24. Steve Ballure back to throw. Looking and looking. In trouble. Stumble. Fall. Tripped by Garen Veras. And Ballure hurt himself.
Ballure's hyper-extended elbow opened the door for backup Tim Cowan to take over at quarterback. Cowan faced 3rd and 7 at the 19 to keep the drive alive.
So Ballure comes off.
There's Cowan, number 14.
What he delivered 3 touchdowns in the second half against California. Short 8, the long 7. Tim Cowan with time gets it off. The pass deflected by a Stanford defender and then ricochets off the hands of the intended receiver.
Facing fourth down, deep in his own territory, head coach Don James elected to punt, hoping his special teams would keep the Cardinal at bay.
And Vincent White is deep for Stanford. The kick is out of there, and it's a good one by Partridge, running White all the way back to his 25, 24, starts back upfield. Look out! Vincent White! May be down! It's touchdown!
There's no flag.
What a marvelous run! 6 yards.
Vincent White's thrilling punt return was the final blow. Stanford had knocked off the number one Huskies. The celebration was on Palo Alto.
It's perfect. I can't tell you how many times we'd lost games to Washington where we felt we outplayed them, and there was a block punt here, a block punt there, a kick return, and to have V-Dub come through with a big punt return at that point in time. We'd seen Darren Nelson do that for years, but to have V-Dub do it at that moment in time and ice the game, that was huge.
That's Paul Wiggins. Very proud, happy of his football team today.
Now in back. He's got three wide men going down the right side. Puts it in the air, and Stanford comes down with it. Charles Hutchings comes down with the football, and the Cardinal wins the game by 12. Stanford 43 and Washington 31. It is hard to be number one in college football.
Despite a bad start to the game, the Cardinal had overcome adversity to pull off one of the biggest upsets of the year.
It's one of the biggest ones. As far as conference games go, knocking off number one at home, John Elway getting on the cover of Sports Illustrated, that was huge. As far as conference wins go, that would be it. The non-conference games, Oklahoma and Ohio State, knocking them off. But otherwise, that Ohio State game was compelling. But this one, the Washington game at home, yeah, that one meant a lot.
With wins over Ohio State and Washington, John Elway had solidified himself as a legitimate Heisman contender and left the defeated Huskies in awe at his talent.
The main thing about it was that we came out of the game just marveling at his talent. And that's one thing that in coaching you appreciate more and more and more is here's an individual who could dominate the second half and lead his team to a huge victory against us and a huge disappointment for us that caused us change.
Very disappointed. And I think we're disappointed as a team because it really hurt our chances for the national championship. Affected us going to the third Rose Bowl, and frankly, hurt us for James because he made the commitment to stay with us, and now it all changed in a matter of days.
The locker room afterward was extreme disappointment because of what we went into the game thinking we could do. It was also a level of reality with what we had to change and how we needed to adjust to put better pressure on good quarterbacks. It gave us a chance now to okay, let's take a look at this and see how we need to improve in order to play the rest of the season out.
The Huskies were able to rebound with a pair of wins against 17th-ranked UCLA and 3rd-ranked Arizona State. But a 24-20 loss to rival Washington State in the Apple Cup derailed the Huskies' shot at a 3rd straight Rose Bowl.
Disappointing from the standpoint of the way it ended. You always talk to your team and you want your players to feel that irregardless of playing in a bowl game or not, you need to finish that season with a win. And otherwise the taste is there in your mouth.
We ran into some real tough teams that frankly played above their heads and all the way through. And we were able to beat all but the two of them. And frankly, the combined records of the two weren't even 500, but they brought their A game.
For Stanford, the victory over the Huskies boosted them to 5-3, putting them one win away from a bowl berth.
Well, you always celebrate victories. They're not always that easy to get, so we were certainly really happy about all that, but there was more a sense of satisfaction and that, okay, we're back. We're 5-3. We've beaten Ohio State. We've beaten Washington, 2 top 10 teams. We've got this stretch run coming. One more win to get us to a bowl game, and we liked our chances where we were for actually, going with 2 or 3 more wins. We felt pretty good about what would happen after that.
Unfortunately for the Cardinal, one more win proved elusive. Despite 2 straight losses to UCLA and Arizona State, Stanford was only 4 seconds away from beating rival Cal in the final game of the season.
The ball is still loose as they get it to Rogers. They give it back now to the 30. They're down to the 20. Oh, the band is out on the field. He's going to go into the end zone. He's going into the end zone. Will it count? The Bears have scored, but the bands are out on the field.
Band was on the field. We didn't lose that game, though. I'm glad you didn't say that. As far as I'm concerned, that was a Stanford win. It's hard to separate it because people won't let us forget the play and the band on the field. You think about that season and knocking off number 1 Washington, going to the Horseshoe, knocking off Ohio State. we may have been the best 5-win team in the history of college football when you think about those wins. And you have a guy like John Elway at quarterback. That's pretty hard to compete with and not make a bowl game. That's one of the best 5-win teams or 6-win teams, ever. But yeah, it's hard to separate it because constantly the reminder is, hey, the band was on the field. Were you a part of that? Yeah, I was a part of that.
While memories of the 1982 season may always center around the play, for Stanford, their upset win over the Washington Huskies is cherished and still stands as one of the greatest moments in Stanford football history.
David took down Goliath, and David didn't have a slingshot. He had a rocket arm. John Elway, bombs away. That was what was on the cover of Sports Illustrated. These classic great games are born of great upsets or big games with a lot at stake. And that Washington-Stanford game had a lot at stake. We had our season hanging in the balance. We had a postseason hanging in the balance. Washington was number 1. We had a Heisman campaign for John. All that was at stake, and no one gave us a chance.